I'll admit it, every time I rewatch Classroom of the Elite, it feels like walking into a surprise party where no one planned anything yet somehow. Everyone already knows your secret. It looks like an ordinary school, but it's really a playground for manipulation, egos, and strategy. Today, we're recapping the entire story, from Ayanokoji's first day at the Advanced Nurturing High School to the mind games that turned Class D completely upside down. We're diving into the rules, the tricks, the makeshift alliances, and of course, the masks that fall off at just the right moment. But the goal here isn't just to remember what happened, it's to connect the dots that most people miss in the middle of all those exams. So if you're into theories, sly smirks, and silent plot twists, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and grab some popcorn. Let's step into Ayanokoji's game.
But Horikita, I've never considered you an ally, not even for a second.
To Kiyotaka Ayanokoji, equality is just a bad joke. As he mulls this over on a crowded bus, a drama unfolds. A girl tries and fails to get a man to give his seat to an elderly woman. Another student, the cold and distant Suzune Horikita, simply ignores it. Ayanokoji, he just watches, in silence. That silence follows him to the gates of the Tokyo Metropolitan Advanced Nurturing High School, the supposed utopia that promises a 100% success rate. But paradise already shows its claws when Horikita corners him, irritated that he was watching her.
Hey, you. I noticed you staring at me on the bus earlier. Why was that?
The tension reveals that fate has placed them in the same class, the infamous Class 1D. And as if the day couldn't get any stranger, the student council president, Manabu Horikita, warns everyone, "Here, you are worth what you achieve. Merit is everything." In the classroom, the social charade begins. Yosuke Hirata tries to break the ice. Kushida, with an angelic smile, vows to be friends with everyone. Ayanokoji gives an introduction so mediocre it's almost an art form. And Horikita, she doesn't even bother. The teacher, Shabashira, finally arrives and drops the bomb. They will live on campus, isolated, and all their purchases will use a point-based system. To start, every student in Class D has received 100,000 points. A fortune, a reflection, she says, of their value. The class descends into chaos, spending like there's no tomorrow. Ayanokoji, however, notices Horikita buying only the bare essentials, the cheapest she can find. The first crack in the school's facade appears when upperclassmen humiliate Sudo, calling Class D trash and leaving a threat hanging in the air. You're about to feel a lot of pain. The month passes and Class D becomes a circus of indiscipline. They sleep in class, use their phones and arrive late, and the teachers do nothing. Ayanokoji and Horikita remain islands of solitude. Kushida, on her forced friendship crusade, tries to use Ayanokoji to get to Horikita, but the gambit fails. Horikita dismisses her with cutting coldness, making it clear she'd rather be alone. And then, May 1st arrives. Payday. But the points don't come. Shabashira returns, a cruel smile on her face, and reveals the truth. The 100,000 points weren't a gift. They were a starting balance. Every tardiness, every conversation, every phone used, it was all deducted. Their balance? Wiped out. In her words, the school gave them nothing because, to the school, they are worth nothing. They're trash.
So, as it stands now, we think you're all garbage.
Even with 0 points and rock-bottom morale, Class D doesn't seem to have gotten the message, but their teacher, Shabashira, is about to spell it out for them. She explains the S system, a brutal mechanism that ranks the classes in real time. Class D is at the bottom of the barrel, but the midterm exams are their first chance to climb. There's just one new rule, one that freezes the blood in their veins. Anyone who fails a single test will be expelled on the spot. Panic sets in. Hirata and the ever-helpful Kushida form a study group, but the problem trio, Sudo, Ike, and Yamauchi, refuses to join. That's when the unthinkable happens. Horikita, the ice queen who despises teamwork, decides she needs them to reach Class A. She practically forces Ayanokoji to recruit the trio, but he fails. In a desperate move, he asks Kushida for help, who with her charisma convinces them. The result? A disaster. Horikita's arrogance is so unbearable that the boys storm out, humiliated and furious. Later, the true reason for Horikita's obsession is revealed. Ayanokoji witnesses her being confronted by her brother, Manabu, the all-powerful student council president. He calls her a disgrace, a stain on their family for being in Class D, and demands she drop out. The humiliation turns physical, and as he moves to strike her, Ayanokoji intervenes. Out of nowhere, the invisible boy displays a combat prowess that paralyzes the president. It's then that Manabu recognizes him, not as just another student, but as the anomaly who scored exactly 50 on every single entrance exam. A ghost in the system. After the confrontation, Ayanokoji hits her where it hurts most, telling Horikita that her isolation is the only reason she's in Class D. The words land like a punch to the gut, and then, the day the exam results are posted arrives. Against all odds, everyone passed, including the 3 who were doomed to be expelled. How on earth did they manage that? Class D erupts in celebration. Sudo, Ike, and Yamauchi carry Kushida on their shoulders, hailing her as the savior who worked a miracle. But Ayanokoji, from the shadows, knows the miracle had an architect, and it wasn't her. Days earlier, he saw Horikita take a hesitant step out of her shell, giving Sudo her notes so he could study. A small gesture, but not enough to save everyone. The real plan was far dirtier. Ayanokoji went straight to the source. He negotiated with an upperclassman to buy past exam questions for 15,000 points.
Do you still have any of your class's midterm questions? I want you to hand them over to me.
But to ensure no one just memorized the answers, he arranged for Kushida to deliver the material at the last minute, giving her all the credit and making her the hero the class needed. The plan was perfect, until it wasn't. A new crisis explodes. Sudo failed one subject by a single point. His expulsion is announced, but Ayanokoji refuses to lose. He confronts Chabashira with a twisted, brilliant logic. If everything in this school has a price, what's the price of a single point? Horikita, surprisingly, backs him up on the spot, offering her own points. Chabashira, with a predator's smile, accepts the challenge and names an absurd price, 100,000 points. Together, they pay the ransom. The expulsion is reversed. Later, to protect Horikita's image and maintain his own cover, Ayanokoji lies to the class, claiming it was she who fought tooth and nail for Sudo. That same night, the game takes a terrifying turn. While returning Kushida's forgotten phone, Ayanokoji overhears her alone, and the angelic mask drops. Her voice becomes pure venom, a monologue of hatred and resentment toward Horikita. When she realizes she's been discovered, the real Kushida emerges. With the point of a compass aimed at him, she blackmails him in the lowest way possible. If he tells anyone, she'll accuse him of sexual assault. Suddenly, the master manipulator is trapped, and the most popular girl in school has just revealed herself to be his most dangerous enemy. The calm is over. Class D is thrown into a new crisis when Sudo is accused of violently assaulting 3 students from Class C. He swears it was self-defense, a setup, but with no witnesses. His word is worthless. And behind it all, a figure emerges from the shadows. Ryuen, the sadistic leader of Class C. He was the maestro of discord, even injuring one of his own men to make the frame-up airtight. The class fractures under the pressure. To many, Sudo is dead weight, a problem they should just cut loose. But Horikita, colder and more calculating than ever, argues the opposite. In a game with unknown rules, every piece on the board is vital. Losing a student now could mean a final defeat later. The hunt for a phantom witness begins, and Ichino, the charismatic leader of Class B, offers her help, unearthing a lead that damages the credibility of one of the accusers. Horikita, however, has her own theory. She observes each classmate's reaction, and her attention locks onto one person, the reclusive and terrified Sakura. She knows the girl saw something.
You know who it is?
One of our classmates, Sakura, knows something.
Kushida tries a friendly approach, but the result is a disaster. Sakura panics, flees, and in the confusion, her precious digital camera falls and shatters. More than just the camera, something inside her seems to have broken. The fear of being dragged into the spotlight is her greatest terror. Ayanokoji knows he needs to fix more than just Sakura's camera. He accompanies her to the shop, shielding her from strangers, realizing her dread goes far beyond shyness. Later, he advises her with surgical precision. She shouldn't testify for the class, but for herself, so she won't be haunted by regret. Shortly after, Kushida uncovers the secret that explains everything. Sakura is actually Shizuku, a net idol. Her secret identity is the source of her terror. The hearing begins, and the judge is none other than the intimidating student council president, Horikita's brother. The case seems lost. But then, Sakura appears. Resolute, she presents a photo proving she was there, but the image is unclear. It doesn't prove who started the fight. The council then offers an easy way out, a quick suspension for everyone, a draw. She refuses the deal and doubles down, declaring Sudo's total innocence and accusing Class C of perjury and conspiracy. It's an all-or-nothing gambit. The president, impressed or perhaps irritated by her audacity, adjourns the session with an ultimatum. Both classes have 1 day to find definitive proof. Whoever is lying will face expulsion. And then, with an enigmatic look, he places the entire weight of the outcome not on his sister, but on the quiet boy no one notices, Ayanokoji. Suddenly, the game is all his. With the clock ticking down, Horikita, guided by a subtle hint from Ayanokoji about the lack of security cameras, sets up a brilliant bluff. She lures the Class C accusers back to the scene of the crime and confronts them, claiming to have a recording of everything. The lie is so bold that they hesitate. In that moment of doubt, Ayanokoji exposes them as Ryuen's puppets. The pressure works. The complaint is withdrawn. While the psychological war unfolds, another battle takes place. Sakura is cornered by the electronics store clerk, an obsessed fan who discovered her identity. In a panic, she calls the one person who can help. Ayanokoji and Ichino arrive just in time.
Face it. As of this moment, your life is over.
And the Class B leader uses her authority to neutralize the stalker. The trauma, ironically, solidifies Sakura's bonds with her new, unlikely friends. The case is closed. Class D emerges unscathed. The student council president, acknowledging the victory, offers Ayanokoji a seat on the council. He refuses, claiming he wants a normal life, the biggest lie of all. But the victory comes at a price: Ryuen's attention. The Class C tyrant confronts Sakinagi and declares open war, vowing to crush everyone, including Class A. In another place, Horikita faces Ayanokoji, finally realizing the truth. She wasn't the strategist, she was the tool. He had manipulated her all along. He agrees to help her reach Class A, but with one dark, non-negotiable condition: she must never, ever investigate who he really is. Summer vacation arrives with a truce, or so it seems. At the pool, while most of the class relaxes, Class D's full trio, Ike, Yamauchi, and Sudo plot Operation Girls Locker Room, a moronic attempt at espionage. Ayanokoji, knowing this could cost them everything, joins them, not to participate, but to manage the inevitable disaster. The tension between the students is palpable. Horikita isolates herself as usual, while Kushida forces a friendliness that no one is buying. The boys' plan begins to unravel the moment the school's most dangerous figures appear: Ryuen, Katsuragi, and the student council president himself, Manabu Horikita. Disaster is imminent. A scandal now would be the end of Class D. That's when Ayanokoji acts. From the shadows, he whispers an order to Horikita: fake a cramp. The ensuing chaos provides the perfect distraction. Put on the spot, Horikita delivers a fiery speech, declaring that the defectives of Class D will fight their way to the top. The show of unity shocks the other classes and diverts all attention. In the confusion, Ayanokoji retrieves the camera and deletes the evidence, neutralizing the threat without anyone noticing. Later, he reveals the truth to Horikita, confessing he used her to protect the class and, simultaneously, force her to act like a leader.
Yeah, but the interference from other classes made things a lot more difficult.
As petty revenge, and perhaps as a test, he pushes her into the pool. For the first time, the Ice Queen cracks a smile and plays along, engaging in a water fight that, for a moment, breaks down the walls she's built around herself. The fun at the pool was just the calm before the storm. Days later, Ayanokoji is summoned by his teacher, Chabashira. Her professional facade crumbles, and a real terrifying threat is revealed. Ayanokoji's father, a powerful and shadowy figure, has contacted the school demanding his expulsion. Chabashira offers a sinister pact: her protection in exchange for his promise to carry Class D to Class A. Ayanokoji stares her down and coldly refuses, warning her that she will regret trying to use him as a pawn. Soon after, the school announces a reward: a trip on a luxury cruise liner. On board, the social games continue. Ike gets permission to call Kushida by her first name. Class A's arrogance incites Sudo. Class C's Ryuen displays his tyrannical control over his classmates. Hiata, sensing the class's fragility, asks Ayanokoji for help in uniting the group, and in a chilling moment on the deck, Kushida's mask slips for a second, revealing a dark, possessive look toward Ayanokoji before snapping back to normal. The illusion of a vacation is shattered the next morning. A deserted island appears on the horizon. A cold, final announcement echoes across the ship: the vacation is over. The cruise wasn't a prize. It was transport to the next battlefield. A new special exam, more brutal than anything they've ever faced, is about to begin. Hell has a new name: the Island Survival Test. The rules are an exercise in cruelty. Each class is given 300 points to survive for 1 week. Whatever isn't spent becomes class points. Bonus points are scattered across the island in spots that can only be claimed by each class's secret leader. And here's the trap: guessing another class's leader is worth 50 points. Guessing wrong costs 50. The leader's identity becomes everyone's greatest weapon and greatest weakness.
This is a high-risk, my return game.
Class D is divided from the first minute. Ayanokoji, on a recon mission, discovers a golden secret. Katsuragi is Class A's leader. Back at camp, after a heated debate, the quiet and responsible Horikita is named Class D's leader. The class dynamic shifts when Ike, the class clown, reveals a surprising knowledge of survival skills, earning everyone's respect. Their fragile unity is tested when they find Class C's Ibuki, injured and alone. Against their better judgment, they take her in, but the harmony is an illusion. Konji, the personification of selfishness, simply declares he's bored, quits the test, and returns to the ship. His desertion costs Class D an immediate 30-point penalty. The first blow was struck, not by an enemy, but by one of their own allies. Class D's foundation is already cracking. While Hirata scrambles to keep Class D functioning as a unit, Ayanokoji and Horikita watch from a distance, like generals surveying a map. Their investigations reveal the enemy's strategies. The solidaristic Class B has taken in a defector from C. Class A, led by Katsuragi, has built an impenetrable fortress. And Class C, well, Class C is having a party. Ryuen spent every point on luxuries, planning for his entire class to simply drop out, minimizing losses and treating the exam like a vacation. He openly mocks the other classes, making it clear he's playing a different game. The peace in Class D, however, is shattered from within. Karuizawa's underwear goes missing, and suspicion explodes. The blame falls on Ike, who is found with the item in his bag. The class is about to self-destruct when Hirata intervenes, taking control and promising to find the real thief. But in secret, he goes to Ayanokoji. Hirata knows it was Ayanokoji who planted the evidence to protect Ike from a false accusation, and now he asks for his help. He knows there's a real thief on the loose, and that the class's unity depends on finding them. Hirata promises to bury the truth, whatever it is, to keep the class together.
So that's why I would like your mind working with me on it.
Little does he know that Ayanokoji isn't interested in unity. He's interested in control, and the thief is the key to his next move. The theft breaks Class D. The boys and girls camps separate, mistrust poisoning the air. Ironically, Ayanokoji is appointed as a guard, his harmless student disguise working better than ever. From the shadows, he watches everything. He sees that Horikita is burning up with a fever, hiding her illness so as not to appear weak. Yamauchi shows up to pester Horikita, but she's already annoyed and knocks him to the ground. Luckily, Ayanokoji manages to break his fall. And then, the real disaster. Horikita realizes her keycard, the soul of Class D, the item that proves her leadership, has been stolen. Suspicion immediately falls on Ibuki, the spy they took in. Before they can react, an act of arson engulfs part of their camp. It's the perfect distraction. In the chaos and smoke, they realize the truth. Ibuki is gone. Despite her fever and pain, Horikita, blinded by rage, chases after Ibuki into the brewing storm. The confrontation is brutal. Ibuki, a skilled martial artist, easily overpowers the sick girl, confessing to the theft with a smirk. Just as Horikita is about to collapse, Ayanokoji emerges from the darkness. Surprised, Ibuki flees to find her master Ryuen, leaving behind a trail of destruction and a defeated Horikita. The enemy's plan seems to have worked perfectly. Ayanokoji finds Horikita unconscious. He carries her back and, using her fever as a pretext, forces her to officially retire from the test. To Class D, it's over. Their leader has been exposed, their keycard stolen. They brace for the humiliation of defeat. Following Ayanokoji's prior order, Hirata submits the class's guesses, a final desperate act. But at the results ceremony, the impossible happens. Class D not only survived, they placed first.
Finally, in first place, Class D, with 225 points.
Ryuen's Class C languishes in last place with 0 points. The truth is a gut punch to all their rivals. Ryuen's plan was brilliant. He had identified every leader except one. He got Class D's leader wrong. The curtain falls, and the puppet master is revealed. Ayanokoji orchestrated every second. He knew Ibuki was a spy and used her to steal Horikita's card. He started the fire, and at the last possible moment, he used Horikita's illness to make himself the new leader, rendering Ryuen's guess useless. With the intel he'd gathered, he correctly identified the leaders of Class A and C, securing an overwhelming victory. And to maintain his cover, he gives all the glory to Horikita, cementing her as the hero the class needed. But the mask drops in private. In a chilling phone call, he confronts an agent of his father, revealing glimpses of a dark past of training and manipulation. Finally, he turns to Horikita, the girl he just saved and crowned, and declares the truth with absolute coldness. "I have never once thought of you as an ally. Not you, not Kushida, not Hirata, Hiata, all people are nothing but tools. To him, there are no friends, no enemies, only pieces on a board, and in the end, he will do whatever it takes to win, because winning is all that matters.
And in the end, I'm going to win.
The luxury cruise vacation was a lie. The second special exam erupts without warning, and the rules are a psychological nightmare. Students are mixed into 12 zodiac-themed groups, forcing unstable alliances. The goal? Discover the identity of a secret VIP within each group. The dilemma is cruel. If everyone cooperates and guesses correctly, they all win. If a traitor submits the correct answer alone, they take everything, and the game is over for their group. But a wrong guess in betrayal means ruin for the traitor's class. It's a test of trust in an arena designed to destroy it. In Ayanokoji's group, the brilliant Ichinos from Class B proposes a total alliance, but Class A, under Katsuragi's ultra-conservative strategy, refuses to participate. Their plan is a stalemate. Risk nothing, ensure only their VIP scores points, and lock down the game for everyone else. Far away, Ryuen corners Horikita. He knows the island victory wasn't hers. He taunts her, sniffing out the true master behind the curtain, and vows to drag them into the light. At the same time, Karuizawa, Class D's most popular girl, is intimidated by girls from Class C, only to be saved at the last second. The truce is fragile. The pieces are already moving for an inevitable confrontation. Class A's strategy of silence paralyzes most of the groups, but anarchy has its own plans. Quanji, in an act of pure ego, simply reveals his own VIP status and ends his group's game on the first day, proving no strategy is safe from a madman. Meanwhile, Ayanokoji begins to focus on Karuizawa. He senses her arrogant attitude is armor, and he needs to know what she's protecting. Ryuen, on the other hand, plays with his cards on the table. He reveals to Horikita that he confiscated every Class C phone to identify their VIPs by force. With this advantage, he proposes an unholy alliance to crush Class A. The offer is refused, but the message is clear. Ryuen has a method, and he's coming for them all. Karuizawa's armor finally cracks. Hirata, her fake boyfriend, ends their relationship. He confesses to Ayanokoji that the relationship was a shield to protect her from bullying, but he can't take it anymore.
In reality, she's been the victim of horrific bullying that's followed her for nearly 10 years of schooling.
Without her protector, Karuizawa is vulnerable, and the same Class C girls who intimidated her before now corner her again. But this time, there's no one to save her. The trap is set. The ambush closes in. In an isolated corner of the ship, the Class C girls, under Ryuen's orders, assault Karuizawa. The violence is brutal, and Ayanokoji watches from a distance, satisfied. But when Karuizawa is at her lowest point, Ayanokoji appears. He doesn't save her. He breaks her. He reveals he knows everything about her traumatic past of being bullied, forcing her to face her demons. And then, amidst the wreckage of her soul, he offers a new pact, his absolute protection in exchange for her unconditional loyalty. He doesn't save her, he remakes her as his tool. With Karuizawa under his control, the real plan for the Mars group kicks into gear. Knowing she is the VIP, Ayanokoji weaves a web of deceit. He swaps phones with her, then with another classmate, Yukimura, making everyone believe that he, Ayanokoji, is the VIP. The bait is in the water. In the final discussion, the trap springs. Yukimura confesses to being the VIP. Ichino's, brilliant as ever, exposes the phone swap, leading everyone to the wrong conclusion. Ayanokoji is the real VIP. As you predicted, a greedy member of Class A takes the bait and betrays the group, submitting Ayanokoji's name as the answer. The answer is wrong. The exam ends. Class D gains 50 points. Karuizawa gains 500,000 private points. Ayanokoji's plan was a perfect invisible checkmate. The final results show Ryuen's brute force strategy also worked, but he isn't satisfied. In a terrifying final scene, he corners Kushida, revealing he outsmarted her and discovered she was his group's VIP. With a sadistic smile, he informs her that the two-faced girl who hates Horikita has just become his new toy. He promises to break her completely.
I'm going to tear you into pieces, body and soul. Our second term is shaping up to be a fun one.
The dust from the cruise ship exam has barely settled when a new truth spreads like poison. Cooperation is no longer an option. It's a necessity. Even the merciless Ryuen was betrayed. No one is safe. But there's no time to breathe. The school announces its next stage of torture, a sports festival. The classes are divided into two teams, red and white, forcing an unlikely alliance between Class D and their rivals in Class A. The rules are a meat grinder. The top performers earn bonuses, but the bottom 10 students will lose points on their future exams. Victory depends not on strength, but on strategy. Immediately, Class D divides. Horikita proposes a cold, logical plan. Use the top athletes to secure wins and sacrifice the weakest as pawns to minimize losses. The idea sparks an immediate revolt, led by Karuizawa. After a tense vote, Horikita's plan wins by a razor-thin margin. Far from everyone, Ayanokoji pulls the strings. He confesses to Karuizawa that he instructed her to oppose Horikita, orchestrating the conflict to test the class's loyalty. And then, he drops the real bombshell. There's a traitor in Class D, someone already leaking their roster of athletes to the enemy. Ayanokoji knows who it is, and he's not going to do anything to stop it. The betrayal is part of a much larger plan. In training, Ayanokoji maintains his disguise as an average student while helping Horikita learn to cooperate. Then he informs her they will be spying on the white team, and their company will be the very person he just named as the traitor from the last exam, the smiling, deadly Kushida. But the espionage is a calculated failure. Horikita confronts Kushida, who denies everything with an angelic smile, but the seed of distrust has been planted. The festival begins, and the red team with Ayanokoji and Horikita pulls ahead. But then, Ryuen's plan kicks in. First, his cronies sabotage Sudo, tripping him. Next, a Class C student purposefully collides with Horikita, shattering her ankle. The strategy is savage and direct. Decapitate Class D's leadership. The sabotage works.
You know what? That's a good look for you. Class D belongs in the dirt.
Sudo, humiliated and taunted by Ryuen, explodes and loses control. The red team's lead evaporates. Ayanokoji coldly explains to Karuizawa the traitor has served her purpose. Ryuen knew exactly when and where to strike. And then comes the most shocking revelation. Losing the festival is part of Ayanokoji's plan. Sudo, after a fight with the class, quits the competition. It's in this moment that Ryuen tightens his trap. He accuses Horikita of injuring his student on purpose and offers an ultimatum. Either she pays 1 million points and kneels in humiliation, or he will take her to the council and ensure her expulsion. Injured, cornered, and abandoned, Horikita realizes there's only one way out. She needs to get her attack dog back in the game. In a desperate act, Horikita goes after Sudo, but instead of orders, she offers a confession. For the first time, she opens up about her weakness, about the pain of her brother's rejection. She connects his struggle to her own, asking for his help, not as a pawn, but as an equal. Touched by her brutal honesty, Sudo returns. Meanwhile, Horikita corners the real traitor. Without ceremony, she throws all the evidence of her betrayal in Kushida's face. Her mask disintegrates, revealing a pathological hatred for Horikita that stems from middle school. She confesses everything, admitting her sole goal is Horikita's expulsion and threatening to destroy Ayanokoji too. Back in the arena, Class D rallies around Sudo's return. With Horikita and Kushida out of the final relay, Ayanokoji volunteers. On the track, he lines up next to the student council president, Manabu Horikita, and for the first time, he lets loose. He doesn't win, but his absurd speed, matching that of the school's top student, leaves everyone in shock. The ghost has shown a glimpse of his power. After the festival, Horikita confronts Ryuen and Kushida with a recording of the blackmail.
Got it. By the way, I've been recording all of this.
Ryuen laughs, revealing he was also recording. A stalemate, but the checkmate wasn't Horikita's. Ayanokoji had predicted everything and planted a third recorder in the hands of a traitor from Class C itself. The new recording captures Ryuen planning the sabotage in detail. He knows he was outplayed by a far more dangerous player, and now he has a new target, to uncover the identity of the puppet master who made him dance. The war is over, but the hunt has just begun. The crown changes hands. In a move that shocks everyone, Manabu Horikita steps down from the student council throne. In his place rises Miyabi Nagumo, a successor with a smile on his face and ice in his veins. His promise? To transform the school into a true meritocratic battlefield where the weak have no place. And the first guillotine already has a name: the Paper Shuffle Special Exam. The rule is simple and brutal. Form pairs, create a test for a rival, and if your pair's combined score in any subject is less than 60, it's immediate expulsion for both. The game just got serious. As the shadow of expulsion looms over everyone, a more personal drama unfolds. Sato boldly asks for Ayanokoji's number, lighting a fuse of jealousy in Karuizawa that no one yet understands. In the Class D war room, tensions explode when Kushida joins the strategy group, to Horikita's obvious disgust, but the real bomb drops later in private. Horikita reveals to Ayanokoji Kushida's dark past, the girl who single-handedly imploded an entire class at her old school. Ayanokoji, pragmatic, suggests the obvious, eliminate her, but Horikita, in a risky gamble, decides to try and tame the beast, believing she can win her trust. On the other side of the board in Class C, Ryuen sniffs the air. He knows there's a traitor in his ranks, and a phantom mastermind moving Class D's pieces. The hunt is on. Back in Class D, Horikita's group cracks the exam's code. The school will pair the best students with the worst to force a balance. Their plan? To rig a preliminary test, ensuring their strongest students become the safety net for their weakest. And amidst all this chaos, Ayanokoji makes a silent promise to Karuizawa, sealing a shadow alliance that would change both their fates. He will protect her, but at what cost? The countdown to the paper shuffle has begun, and Class D becomes a beehive of study groups. Ayanokoji, the master of anonymity, ends up with a peculiar group of misfits, Yukimura, Miyake, and Hasabe. Little did they know, an unexpected bond was about to form, but the real storm was brewing elsewhere. The Cold War between Horikita and Kushida finally explodes. In a direct confrontation, Horikita puts all her chips on the table, a bet. The two will compete in the math test. If Horikita wins, Kushida stops her sabotage. If Kushida wins, Horikita will leave the school for good. To seal the pact, Manabu Horikita is summoned as a witness.
Then it's done. There will be severe consequences for going back on your word.
But a silent observer heard everything. Ayanokoji is caught in the crossfire, and Kushida, with a venomous smile, drags him into the abyss. If she wins, he will be expelled too. Seeing an opportunity, Ayanokoji imposes his own condition. To join the bet, Kushida must confess. Tell them what really happened in her past. Cornered, Kushida's mask cracks. She tells them everything. The sick obsession for recognition, the suffocating facade of a perfect girl, and her toxic release valve. An anonymous blog where she spewed her contempt for everyone. The day the blog was discovered was the day hell broke loose. Trapped by a class that hated her, Kushida used her most powerful weapon, the truth. She exposed every dirty secret, every hidden rot of her classmates, turning them against each other in an orgy of destruction. She didn't just survive, she destroyed the class from the inside. Now, with the bet sealed and the demons of the past unleashed, the rivalry has become a battle for their very survival in the school. The question is no longer who will win, but who will survive. The betrayal was already in motion. Determined to crush Horikita, Kushida makes a pact with the devil. She leaks Class D's questions to Ryuen in exchange for the answers from Class C. Meanwhile, Ayanokoji's small group grows stronger, now with Sakura, and they christen themselves the Ayanokoji group, a core of loyalty amidst the chaos. And then, the theatrics begin. Following Ayanokoji's whispered orders, Karuizawa provokes a public fight with Kushida, creating the perfect distraction for the checkmate to come. The day of the exam, Kushida's confidence turns to horror. The test questions are nothing like the ones Ryuen gave her. She was deceived. Furious, she confronts him, only for him to laugh at her naivety. Ryuen reveals the plot with sadistic pleasure. Class D's mastermind contacted him and offered a Sophie's choice. Receive the real questions from Class C, or receive a fake set of questions to give to Kushida. Ryuen, a lover of chaos, chose the latter, preferring to watch the circus burn. What he didn't know was that Ayanokoji was already 3 steps ahead.
But go ahead and throw everything you have at me. I'm more than happy to entertain you, anytime, anywhere.
He had instructed Horikita to make a deal with their teacher, Chabashira. Only the questions submitted in person by the class representative would be valid. Kushida's plan was dead before it was even born. With Horikita's victory secured and the traitor exposed, Ryuen now has a new focus, a new obsession, to find and destroy the genius manipulator who played him like a pawn. From the shadows, Ayanokoji silently accepts the challenge. The hunt had just begun. As Christmas draws near, a chilly air of vigilance surrounds Ayanokoji. A girl from Class A, a pawn of Adasu Sakayanagi, watches him closely. At the same time, the now obsessed Ryuen escalates his war of provocations against Class D. He no longer wants points, he wants a name. He knows Horikita isn't the mastermind, and the hunt for the true manipulator is at its peak. At Horikita's request, Ayanokoji goes to the library, where a coincidental encounter with Hiyori of Class C subtly confirms confirms Ryuen's interest, but the investigation is brutally interrupted. A summons, a reception room, and a ghost from his past, his father. The man reveals that the butler who helped Ayanokoji escape to the school took his own life. Wielding this guilt, he demands one thing, that Ayanokoji sign the withdrawal papers and return to the White Room. Ayanokoji refuses, cold as ice. The argument is cut short by the arrival of Chairman Sakiyanagi, who reveals himself to be an old acquaintance of his father. The chairman defends Ayanokoji's right to stay, using the school's rules as a shield. Then he drops the bombshell. His daughter, Arisu, is the queen of Class A. With the truth on the table, Ayanokoji confronts Chabashira, exposing the lies she used to control him. "I am no longer your pawn," he declares, abandoning the mission to get Class D to the top. Free from all chains, he makes a call, Karuizawa. He apologizes for using her and with surgical coldness, announces he is cutting all ties, deleting her contact. The tool had been discarded, leaving Karuizawa alone, confused, and squarely in Ryuen's crosshairs. Abandoned and broken, Karuizawa tries to process the blow. Meanwhile, Ryuen's hunt continues relentlessly. His new target, the eccentric and unpredictable Koenji.
What's the point of this? Let's just drop it.
I refuse. Not until I destroy him.
Ryuen corners him, but Koenji, with an air of superiority, denies everything, claiming the class-based games are a bore to him. The arrival of Adasu Sakinagi, who taunts Ryuen like someone poking a caged beast, only adds to the frustration. Ryuen concludes, Koenji is insane, but he's not the mastermind he's looking for. With another suspect crossed off the list, Ryuen sends an ultimatum to Horikita. The endgame is near. He prepares his final trap. The security cameras in an isolated area of the campus are disabled. A message is sent. The bait has been set, and the bait is Karuizawa. Alone, she walks into the ambush. Ryuen and his thugs are waiting. He knows everything, the bullying, the trauma, the fear that consumes her. In an act of pure cruelty, he douses her with cold water in the middle of winter, a physical and psychological torture designed to break her spirit and make her relive her worst nightmare. He demands a name, the name of the mastermind behind it all, the person who protected her from the shadows. But something has changed in Karuizawa. Even with fear eating away at her soul, even believing she has been abandoned by her protector, she refuses to talk. She grits her teeth, accepts her fate, and silently resolves to protect Ayanokoji until the very end. Karuizawa's personal hell reaches its peak. The torture continues, but her loyalty, forged in fire and fear, refuses to break. She will not give up the name of Ayanokoji, the man she believes has discarded her. Far away, the real game unfolds. Ayanokoji, alerted by Chabashira, meets with Manabu Horikita. A deal is sealed in the dead of night. Manabu will serve as a witness to what is to come, in exchange for Ayanokoji's help in getting his sister onto the student council. The pieces are in place. At the exact moment Karuizawa is about to break, he arrives. Kiyotaka Ayanokoji. He reveals himself, the mastermind, the ghost, the target Ryuen has been hunting. Ecstatic, Ryuen orders the attack. And what follows is not a fight, it's a massacre. With terrifying and inhuman efficiency, Ayanokoji defeats Ishizaki, Albert, and Ibuki single-handedly, without taking a single scratch. The final showdown, Ayanokoji versus Ryuen. Ryuen's philosophy of absolute violence shatters against a wall of calculated indifference. Ayanokoji not only overpowers him physically, he dismantles his soul, his worldview, and forces him to taste the paralyzing fear for the first time in his life.
Why would a mundane task like this make me feel anything?
With Ryuen defeated and broken, Ayanokoji goes to Karuizawa. He apologizes. He promises that from this moment on, the nightmare is over. He will always protect her. In that instant, the chains of Karuizawa's past break and the relationship of master and pawn dies to give way to something much deeper. A bond forged in hell, now unbreakable. Defeated and without purpose, Ryuen tries to flee. He transfers all his points to Ishizaki, believing a broken tyrant no longer has a place in the school. In a final confrontation, he allows himself to be beaten, an act of resignation. But from a distance, Ayanokoji watches, and where everyone sees an end, he sees a new and dangerous opportunity. Meanwhile, Horikita finally confronts the truth about Ayanokoji. The invisible boy, her average classmate, is actually a master puppeteer. Elsewhere, Ayanokoji is already on to his next move. He contacts Karuizawa with a new task, to spy on Sato, to gather information about her life. The mission sparks a hint of jealousy in Karuizawa, who nonetheless accepts. The tool is back to to work. Shortly after, Ayanokoji, the new king of the student council, makes an unexpected move. He invites Horikita to join the council, a suggestion from her brother. Horikita, suspicious, knows nothing is as it seems. Later, Ayanokoji meets with Ryuen. He reveals that he was responsible for preventing his expulsion, pinning the blame on Class D. And then, he gives some dark advice, comparing a certain element in the class to a cancer that needs to be eradicated. His next target is declared. In the third term, Kushida will be expelled. On Christmas Day, the plan is set in motion. Ayanokoji and Sato's date is interrupted by Karuizawa, who turns the situation into a double date. It's a stage, and they are all actors. In the end, Ayanokoji dismisses Sato with brutal coldness, confessing that he has never felt anything for anyone. As soon as Sato leaves, Karuizawa emerges. Ayanokoji reveals that it was all a test for her. Why would he settle for Sato when he already has his most useful tool? Under the falling snow, he hands her some cold medicine, a small gesture of genuine concern.
Cold medicine?
The other day you were completely drenched with water. I thought you might have fallen ill.
The plan was a success. By pushing her to her limit and then saving her, he cemented her absolute loyalty. He wonders if he will ever see people as anything more than pieces on his board. But as they part ways, a figure emerges from the shadows. A stranger identifies him as the masterpiece of the White Room and calls him a false genius, vowing to destroy him. Without flinching, Ayanokoji accepts the challenge. A new war is about to begin. Before the new threat can materialize, the school launches its own attack. The students are taken to the mountains for the mixed training camp. The rules are a logistical nightmare. Students are divided by gender and mixed into small groups with all classes and years. Performance is group-based, and if the score is too low, the leader is expelled along with another member of their choice. Chaos is guaranteed. As Class C organizes with Hirata in the lead, Ayanokoji realizes a terrifying truth. This time, he won't be able to protect everyone. The tension explodes when Nagumo, the student council president, issues a public challenge to Manabu Horikita, a bet to see which of their groups will get the highest score. The prize? Only pride. But everyone knows there's much more at stake. The male groups are formed, and Ayanokoji lands on a team of outcasts, including the unpredictable Koenji. Disaster is imminent. In the female groups, Ichino shines with her unifying leadership, while Horikita coldly rejects an alliance attempt from Kushida. The camp is a brutal routine of activities that test body and mind, and it's during dinner that Sakiyanagi approaches Ayanokoji and reveals her next move. Before facing him, she will crush Class B. Her target, their leader, Ichino's. The trust her class places in her is, in Sakiyanagi's eyes, her greatest weakness. Later, Ayanokoji is summoned by Manabu. The student council president reveals Nagumo's corruption and gives him an impossible mission: to take down the new king. To do this, he introduces him to a spy, Vice President Ikuto Kiriyama, a man who feigns loyalty to Nagumo while working in the shadows for Manabu. Ayanokoji accepts the task.
I don't believe he'd be one to break a promise. His word's good.
The competition between the presidents was just the tip of the iceberg of a much larger war. Ayanokoji's new mission begins with an immediate problem: his own group. Koenji, acting like an indifferent god, scales a cliff, causes an accident, and injures the group's leader. When confronted by Ayanokoji, Koenji just smiles, revealing he knows more than he lets on, calling him the boy who tamed the dragon, a direct and dangerous reference to Ryuen. Meanwhile, a small act of kindness from Ayanokoji puts him in contact with a second-year informant, willing to expose Nagumo's dirty deeds. And in Ayanokoji's group of misfits, something unexpected happens. During the night, Ishizaki, Yukimura, and the others confess their failures and finally decide to fight together. With or without Koenji, they will no longer be last. On the final day, the final test, the marathon, the group of misfits gives it their all, and to everyone's shock, Koenji decides to participate, contributing a superhuman effort. The result, Manabu's group wins among the boys, a clean victory, but the true masterstroke happens in the female results. One group fails, and its leader, following a sinister script, chooses Akane Tachibana, Manabu's right-hand woman, to be expelled with her. Nagumo's trap springs shut. The challenge to Manabu was just a distraction so he could rip the heart out of his inner circle. To save Tachibana, Manabu is forced to burn a fortune in private points, demoting his own class. Nagumo wins, not with strength, but with a strategic cruelty that proves he will sacrifice anyone to stay on top. On the way back, Karuizawa asks Ayanokoji if he would do the same for her. He answers, without hesitation, he would do whatever it takes. The pact between them deepens, but everyone feels it in the air. That was just the beginning. A new era of expulsions was about to shake the school to its core. The dirty game continues. Nagumo, the student council president, informs Sakuyanagi of his next target, Ichino of Class B. The plan is a fatal blow that could lead to her expulsion. In the classroom, the news that Karuizawa and Hiata have broken up causes a stir, but Ayanokoji only has eyes for one thing, Sakuyanagi of Class A, approaching Yamauchi, a suspicious move that sets off every alarm. Rumors about Ichino spread like poison, but she refuses help from Horikita and Ayanokoji, determined to face Sakuyanagi's storm alone. The information war escalates. Anonymous letters appear in everyone's mailboxes, accusing Ichino of being a criminal, and then, an unexpected piece enters the board. Masumi from Class A seeks out Ayanokoji. In his room, she confesses Sakuyanagi is blackmailing her after catching her shoplifting. Masumi reveals that Ichino's committed the same crime in the past and begs Ayanokoji to stop her master's plan, leaving a can of beer as proof. The episode ends with a message from Kushida that makes Ayanokoji's blood run cold. Horikita has arranged a meeting with Nagumo. The meeting takes place. Nagumo tries to intimidate Horikita, using Ayanokoji's name as a veiled threat, revealing that he's been watching him closely. Meanwhile, Ayanokoji executes his own plan. He meets Karuizawa on the roof. In secret, her mission to investigate a phone number. In return, she gives him the Valentine's Day chocolate that was meant for Hirata, a small gesture laden with unspoken meaning. The moment is broken by Hashimoto, Class A's spy. To throw him off, Karuizawa makes up a flimsy excuse, but Hashimoto, now intrigued by their relationship, gets Ayanokoji's contact info. The surveillance on him only tightens. Later, Ayanokoji visits Ichino's. She's sick, isolated, and he sees through her facade of strength. The rumors are destroying her from the inside. The bomb drops the next day. A school online forum is flooded with slander about students from every class, including Ayanokoji and Karuizawa. The goal is clear: to sow chaos, distrust, and break Class C's unity, setting the stage for the final blow against Ichino's. The distrust planted by Sakuyanagi blossoms. A panicked Class B confronts Hashimoto, but the tension is broken by the arrival of the Class A queen herself. Sakuyanagi corners Class B, ready to deliver the killing blow and expose Ichino's past. To everyone's surprise, Ichino's herself intervenes. With her head held high, she publicly confesses her crime, shoplifting as a teen to buy a gift for her sister. Instead of shattering, Class B rallies around her, forgiving her and solidifying their loyalty. Sakuyanagi's plan implodes. To seal her defeat, the student council announces that spreading rumors will be punished, ending the attack. It is then that Ayanokoji approaches Sakuyanagi and reveals the truth. He orchestrated everything. In a flashback, we see him confronting Ichino's, forcing her to face her past to break free from it. He explains how he unraveled Sakuyanagi's plan using the clue of the beer can. Challenged and fascinated, Sakuyanagi proposes a final duel, her against him in the next special exam, with one of them being expelled. He accepts. Ayanokoji used Kushida to leak information, forcing the student council's hand to protect Ichino's while simultaneously undermining Nagumo's authority.
Think about it. With this, we'd be killing two birds with one stone.
With the game over, a stronger Ichino's thanks Ayanokoji with a chocolate, a symbol of a debt that may never be repaid. The celebration for the end of the exams is short-lived. The school reveals its cruelest test yet, a class-wide vote. The rules are poison for the class's soul. Each student votes for 3 classmates who deserve praise and 3 who deserve criticism. The most praised gets a protection point that nullifies an expulsion. The most criticized is expelled immediately. No appeal. The only way out is to pay 20 million points, an amount no one has. Class D fractures instantly. Hirata begs for unity, but Korenji sees a golden opportunity to get rid of the dead weight. Horikita, provoked by a Ryuen who boasts about his immunity, makes an ice-cold decision. If someone has to fall, she will be the one to choose the victim. The internal witch hunt has begun. As chaos sets in, Ayanokoji moves his pieces in the shadows. He warns Karuizawa to be on guard and approaches Ichinoze, who is ready to sacrifice herself for her class. But the game changes when Sakuyanagi reveals the truth to Ayanokoji. The test is a trap to get him expelled. She proposes a ceasefire, promising to focus on an internal target, but it's all a ruse. Desperate, Ichino's goes to Nagumo to ask for the 20 million points to save her class. His condition is sick. To save her friends, she must become his girlfriend. Paranoia consumes Class D. Secret alliances form, and Horikita is haunted by the weight of her decision. Ayanokoji gets confirmation of Nagumo's blackmail of Ichino's and confronts her. her. She admits she's about to accept the deal, but his presence makes her hesitate. Darkness is about to swallow the leader of Class B. Meanwhile, a conspiracy materializes in Class D. Karuizawa sounds the alarm for Ayanokoji. A massive group, publicly led by the useless Yamauchi, plans to expel him. Ayanokoji pressures Kushida, the true architect of the plan, who confesses the truth. The mind behind it all is Sakiyanagi, who broke the ceasefire and is using Yamauchi as her puppet to eliminate Ayanokoji from the shadows. Seeking a light, Horikita seeks out her brother, Manabu. His advice is direct: stop following others and forge your own path. Overcome your fear. Strengthened, she returns the next day and takes control. With relentless logic, she declares that the sacrifice has already been chosen. The good of the class demands the expulsion of Yamauchi. The public trial begins. Horikita exposes Yamauchi in front of everyone, not just as an academic burden, but as a traitor who allied with Sakiyanagi to destroy Ayanokoji. In a panic, Yamauchi tries to blame others, but Kushida, his accomplice, stabs him in the back, sealing his fate. Horikita's coldness shocks everyone, creating a rift with Hirata, who refuses to accept the logic of sacrificing a friend. On voting day, Yamauchi is jubilant, certain that Class A's votes will save him, but the result is an earthquake. First place in praise votes goes to Kiyotaka Ayanokoji, and last place, the one expelled, is Yamauchi. Sakiyanagi used him and threw him away like trash. The truth behind the results is then revealed, and it's a masterpiece of manipulation. Ayanokoji orchestrated every move. He instructed Ryuen's followers to save their master from expulsion. In return, he negotiated with Ichinos. Class B would use their praise votes to save Ryuen, and in exchange, Ryuen's millions of points would be transferred to Class B, allowing them to save their own classmate without Ichino's selling herself to Nagumo. With a single masterful plan, Ayanokoji saved Ryuen, protected Ichino's and her entire class, ensured the traitor's punishment, and, as a reward, received the gratitude votes from Class B to win the test. He didn't just survive the trap, he turned it into his greatest triumph. The peace in the schoolyard was an illusion. With a victorious smile, Sakiyanagi reveals her silent checkmate to Ayanokoji. She sacrificed Yamauchi, using Class A's votes to protect her favorite rival from expulsion, an act of retaliation and, at the same time, an invitation to the real game. But the conversation is brutally interrupted. A man emerges from the shadows, introducing himself as Tsukishiro, the new acting chairman, and with him, the true threat reveals itself. Alone, Tsukishiro's mask drops. He is not a chairman, he is an enforcer, a ghost sent by Ayanokoji's father with an ultimatum as cold as steel: leave the school willingly or be ripped out by force. Ayanokoji's response is a silent challenge: no. With the clock on his freedom ticking, Ayanokoji makes his move. He proposes a final confrontation against Sakiyanagi in the next exam, a battle of commanders to end their rivalry once and for all. She accepts, her eyes gleaming with the promise of the duel, and then the stage is set. The final exam of the year, an event selection test with the cruelest rule of all. The captain of the losing class will be expelled immediately. In the class meeting, Horikita points to the only man who can play this game without fear: Ayanokoji, shielded by his protection point, the perfect insurance policy. The class agrees, not understanding the true weight of the decision. In the opponent draw, a move orchestrated behind the scenes by Ayanokoji forces the inevitable showdown, his class against Sakiyanagi's Class A.
I had one goal in mind: to make sure they'd let us fight Class A.
But as the pieces align for war, one of the class's pillars crumbles. Hirata, sunk in a deep depression, becomes an empty shell, violently pushing away anyone who tries to help. Amidst the chaos, Ayanokoji makes his own moves: an expensive necklace for Karuizawa on her birthday, a calculated gesture to strengthen a crucial pawn while seeking information on Hirata's state. A conversation with Manabu Horikita only confirms what he already knows. The board is changing and everyone must evolve or be left behind. The final scene is a prelude to the battle. Class A's list of 10 events, with one standing out like a gladiatorial arena: chess. The duel of minds was about to begin. While the board for the final duel was being set, a key piece on Ayanokoji's team remained broken. Hirata's apathy was an open wound, threatening to infect the entire class. Amidst the tension, Yukimura throws a wild card on the table, turning Katsuragi from Class A into a spy. Horikita sees the risk, the betrayal. Ayanokoji Koji sees the opportunity. In a secret meeting, the plan is sealed. Driven by resentment against Sakiyanagi, Katsuragi agrees to leak crucial information. The price? A future transfer. The betrayal was in motion. In parallel, Ayanokoji begins another covert operation, training Horikita to be the warrior on the chessboard, the public face of his strategy. The situation with Hirata, however, explodes. An attempt by Michan to reach him ends with her on the floor, shoved, and then Kwanji intervenes, not with words, but with a dramatic and public physical humiliation that shatters what's left of Hirata's pride and isolates him completely. The stage was set for the final act. Ayanokoji corners Hirata alone, and there, the facade of the perfect leader cracks, revealing a deep trauma, the failure to stop the bullying that drove a friend to the brink of suicide, a ghost that haunts him and made him rule through fear in the past. Ayanokoji doesn't offer a shoulder to cry on. He offers a demolition, cold, logical, and brutal. He deconstructs every pillar of Hirata's philosophy, forcing him to face the truth. True leadership isn't about avoiding failure, it's about carrying its weight and continuing to fight. The surgical intervention works. The next day, Yosuke rises from the ashes, ready for battle. But just when the pieces seem set for the showdown between Ayanokoji and Sakeyanagi, a dragon rises from the ashes. At the captain's meeting, Ryuen appears, betting his own head with no protection point. The game, already dangerous, had just become lethal. Years before the board, before the school, fate was sealed. A flashback takes us to a glass room where a young Arasu Sakeyanagi watches an impassive child master impossible tests. She sees Kiyotaka Ayanokoji in the White Room, the factory for artificial geniuses. In that instant, it wasn't a rivalry that was born, but an obsession. Back in the present, the final exam explodes into action. In basketball, Sudo, with newfound control over his anger, silences the taunters and secures the first victory. Ayanokoji's class takes the lead, but the tide was about to turn. In mental arithmetic, Koenji refuses to play seriously, and Sakeyanagi, with a masterstroke, uses a special rule to intervene personally, stealing the victory and tying the score, 3-3. It would all come down to the final event, chess. On the board, Horikita. Behind the scenes, an invisible war between Ayanokoji and Sakeyanagi. Each move a message, each piece a soldier in a battle of intellects. The tension is suffocating, the game a mirror of their minds. But at the crucial moment, when Ayanokoji's checkmate was about to be delivered, something goes wrong. Sakeyanagi's final move falls like a guillotine. Checkmate. Victory for Class A.
That's check.
The defeat is bitter, but the truth is even worse. Acting Chairman Tsukishiro appears, with a subtle smile that says it all. He interfered. The victory was stolen. Later, alone, Sakeyanagi and Ayanokoji recreate the match. The conclusion is undeniable. He was the true winner. She then confesses the origin of her obsession, born that day in the White Room. Her goal was never just to win at school. It was to prove that natural genius could overcome manufactured perfection. She admits she prolonged the exam just to spend more time with him and, holding his hand, reminds him of something he never understood: human warmth. As one epic war ended, Ayanokoji finds Karuizawa, giving her a simple gift. Together they walk home, but in Ayanokoji's mind, a far more subtle war was just beginning. The end of an era. Manabu Horikita, in his graduation speech, leaves behind a legacy of perseverance. Soon after, reality hits the former Class C like a gut punch. They have fallen back to Class D. But amidst the disappointment, Chabashira reveals a shocking truth. They were the class that grew the most, the one that gained the most points throughout the year, a sign that the revolution was just beginning. Meanwhile, Ichino's, crushed by her defeat to Ryuen, decides to turn her pain into fuel. Determined, Ichino's confronts Suzune Horikita and dissolves their alliance. From that moment on, they are no longer allies. They are direct rivals in the race to the top. Little did they know that a far more dangerous alliance was being forged in the shadows. Ayanokoji calls a secret meeting with teachers Mashima and Chabashira, bringing Sakeyanagi as his unlikely ally. The bombshell is dropped. Tsukishiro, the acting chairman, manipulated the final exam and orchestrated the downfall of the former chairman. Faced with a common threat, a pact is sealed to fight the invisible enemy. At the graduation party, Suzune can't get close to her brother. It is Manabu who, through Ayanokoji, arranges one last meeting. At the school gate, on the day of his departure, Manabu leaves one last piece of advice for Ayanokoji: stop hiding, make your mark. And then, Suzune arrives. knives. She is no longer in his shadow. She declares that she will follow her own path. In a rare moment of vulnerability, Manabu admits he pushed her away so she could be free. The siblings say their goodbyes, with the promise of a reunion when she too reaches the top. The torch has been passed. The future is uncertain. With Manabu's departure, the power vacuum creates new and dangerous constellations. Ryuen, back in the game, weaves a web of secret alliances, pulling Hashimoto from Class A and even Kanzaki, willing to act behind a fragile Ichino's back, to his side. He confronts Ayanokoji, not with fear, but with a promise of revenge. Meanwhile, Ichino's collapses under the weight of leadership, and it's Ayanokoji who finds her. He doesn't just offer comfort, he makes a mysterious pact. We'll meet again in a year, a gesture that renews her, but one that hides a dark intent. If she falters, he will be the one to deliver the final blow. Ayanokoji's board now turns to the emotional field. He begins to deliberately manipulate Karuizawa's feelings, provoking her jealousy by getting close to Hiyori. The rumors spread like wildfire, and the pressure on their relationship mounts, with her own classmate, Chiaki Matsushita, confronting Ayanokoji, suspicious of his true, terrifying abilities. As if that weren't enough, two new battlefronts open. Tsukishiro informs him that a new student from the White Room is on their way, challenging Ayanokoji to find them, and Suzune Horikita, now more determined than ever, challenges him to a direct competition in the next exam, with his future on the line. And then, the final move. Ayanokoji asks Karuizawa out on a date. He confesses that everything was a test, an experiment to see if she would get jealous. And then, with rehearsed sincerity, he confesses his feelings. Surprised, confused, but in love, she accepts. They are officially a couple, but in an internal monologue, the chilling truth comes to light. To Ayanokoji, love is an alien concept. Karuizawa is not his girlfriend. She is his tool. A textbook for him to learn about human emotions. A textbook that can and will be discarded when it is no longer useful. The season ends not with a kiss, but with the shadow of a manipulation so profound it casts a darkness over everything to come.
Humans are creatures that learn and grow.